Before we learn how to apply themes, first of all, what is a theme? A theme is a collection of pre-formatted elements that's applied as a whole throughout the entire workbook. And they're hidden up here on the page layout tab, and there's the themes, and they can include fonts, colors, and effects. So when you click on the drop-down arrow, you can look at any one of these themes, and it's a collection of the fonts. You can see the font there, the type of font that if you click on that, how it'll update the entire workbook with that type of font, and the different colors here, and also any effects. Like if you insert an object and you're using the finish matte or glossy, depending upon what theme you choose, it could change the effect. So looking at the sample here, let me go over a little bit more in detail. First of all, the fonts. Okay, you can see the fonts right there. There's the fonts right here. Why does it have an uppercase A and a lowercase a? Because the uppercase A is representative of any heading styles. So if you selected any cell here and applied a heading style format to it, then if you choose one of those themes, it'll update. Well, you can see the uppercase A, that's what it's going to look like if you choose that or this one or that one. And then the lowercase a are for those cells that contain any data that aren't in the heading style format, and it's known as the body. Where can I find these heading styles? Well, let's just go ahead and select the cell here and say that I want to apply a heading style to that cell. Come up here, click on the Home tab, go to the Styles group, because I've got Style, and click on the Cell Styles drop-down arrow, and there they are. We'll cover this in a later training video, but for right now, to keep it simple, that's where you can find your heading styles. And it's in a hierarchical structure, just like when it comes to reading a web page, how you have the main heading up at the top, and then maybe broken down into subheadings for a breakdown of the main heading, and then maybe a subheading to these headings and so on. Go ahead and select one. Let's do heading 1, and that's it. So when I come back here on the Page Layout tab, click on the Themes drop-down arrow, and I choose any one of these themes, those uppercase A's there, when I choose it, is going to be applying and updating and changing the heading style here that we applied there to what I see within the theme there. And then all the other text or data within these cells, because they're not heading styles, then whatever style I select with the lowercase a is going to be applied, what you see there, to all the rest. Now you may think to yourself, hey, what if I just want to come over here and make this bold, make it the same type of format as that? Well, that's not going to work as far as using the themes if you want to use themes, because if you don't select it from the Cell Styles drop-down arrow, the heading styles that Excel has pre-formatted there, predefined as a heading style, then the theme isn't going to work. And like I said, all you have to do is click on the drop-down arrow and go, I like this type of font, the heading styles, well, the uppercase A for my heading styles, lowercase a, that type of font for the rest of the data within my worksheet, and then the colors here for any objects or smart art that I've inserted, and also any background color. Now, a theme is supposed to be complementary. It's like watching a movie. You could actually be watching a scary movie with some comedy music in the background, and the themes don't match. They're way off. So that's why we have themes here. Instead of you going through all the work saying, okay, if I choose this type of heading type font for the headings within my workbook and then the body of the font, it throws it all into one, says, okay, these are complementary font types for the headings and the body of the font, the colors, and the background. Do you like it? If not, go ahead and choose another one. Just hovering over it, notice that over here, at least for the heading style that I applied to cell, let's see, it's F3, it just updates the color. Why is that? Why is it not updating the heading style, as you can see in the uppercase A, and look like that uppercase A for the theme slice, and then the rest of the body of the worksheet here, in fact, the entire workbook, not look like the lowercase a, that type of font? The reason being is because if you're like me and you don't use themes, you basically shut it off so it doesn't work, because by default it's turned on. This is what I mean. If you go ahead and you select any cell here and you come up here on the Home tab and you go to the font group and you click on the font drop down arrow and you scroll to the top, you have all the regular fonts, and then up at the top you have your theme fonts. Now the theme fonts have over to the right hand side for your headings, it's going to be in Arial, and for the body is going to be Times New Roman. Now if I just say, I don't want to use themes and update the entire workbook in a single click, I'm just going to come over here and select Arrange and click on the drop down arrow and choose something outside of the theme fonts here. And like I did, I chose just Arial. And if you scroll down here and you can find Arial and just choose that and not the Arial that's up here, well, that's for headings, so I don't want to do that. but I could choose that. In any case, if you go outside of the theme fonts here, you don't use those, then when you use the themes, when you come up here, you click on the drop down arrow, it's not going to update. Let me give you an example here. If I come over here and I say fine, I want to use themes for this range of cells here. I need to convert that into the theme either for headings or the body font. So I come back up here on the Home tab, click on the drop down arrow, scroll up and say this is the body. And then I'm thinking, wait a second, this could be for the headings. So let me change that. Click on the drop down arrow and say these are the headings here. So I've got the heading style applied to this, the heading font type, and then the rest is the body. So when I come back here to the page layout and I click on the themes and I start moving around, take a look at that range there. Notice how it updates depending upon the theme that I have selected, at least for the fonts, because I don't have any color over there. So if I go from banded to basis, take a look at the total, average, and commission headings or labels for the columns, and notice how, okay, it's not updating. There we go. That's more of a drastic change there to Berlin, back to basis to Berlin. You see the difference? Now in this training video, I could have simply said, hey, just come in here, find a theme, click on it, and it applies it, you're done, which is true. But it didn't work in my workbook because I said, nah, I'm going to go ahead and just select a range of cells. Go to the Home tab and choose something outside. Let me scroll back up to the top of the theme fonts here. I'm going to have Arial for everything here. And then if I want headings, I'm not going to use the headings that Excel has. I'm just going to go ahead and select and make my own headings here. You know, size 14. Even though it looks like a heading, it's not a heading that Excel uses because it's not a theme heading. It's something that I generated and not Excel. So let's go ahead and hit undo. And then so I can show you really quick when it comes to applying themes and not just the overall theme here that includes elements of colors, fonts, and effects. Let me go ahead and insert an illustration here like shapes. That's fine. Let's do a circle. And let's do effects. So I can click on, well, you see how I have the circle selected? Whatever I have selected down here that I'm working on as far as objects and shapes goes, it'll have a contextual related tab, format tab that's applying just to that shape or object. Or I can come up here to the shape styles, click on shape effects and say that I would like something with a nice glow. So I made my changes here and we'll cover this in a later training video, but to bring you up to speed on themes, if I come back up here to the page layout and choose the theme down below, and when I start hovering over the different themes, go ahead and watch over here the headings to be updated, also for the body of the font to be updated, and also the color here for the shape that I have selected, as well as the effects. And when I talk about effects, you can see here, there's the element effects. This is the current effect that's being applied here, and you have other effects. In fact, when I hover over the effects here, glossy, you can see that that shape is being updated there. But as a whole, in one single click, I can have my entire workbook updated and changed on the fly from one type of font to another for the heading or for the body. And then include also the complementary colors that if I come over here to facet, I mean, gosh, the shape has taken the complete attention. It's hard for me to focus on the headings right here and also the body of the font because the shape, wow, just pops out. Oh, that one's fancy, ion. So click on it, it applies to it, but it doesn't apply to the rest because all the other cells that contain data is just regular font. It's not any part of the theme fonts. So if you want to use themes either for the entire workbook or just a range here that you can quickly update on the fly on sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, then make sure that the range of cells is again up here on the Home tab. Click on the drop down arrow, selected as the body, or if you're using headings like up here for the column labels, then make sure that it has the appropriate heading style applied to it. And that's really easy to do. Click on page layout. Once you choose a theme, you can say, I don't like that color, and choose another color. You can see how the colors update rapidly there as I quickly go over them. For the circle, click off. You can also choose the different font types, which we'll learn how to customize, but as far as applying a different theme here for the fonts, and you can see there's the uppercase A and lowercase a. So the uppercase A are for your heading styles that you choose, like Calibri Light, and then the body of the font's going to be, well, Calibri. And then Cambria for the heading, body, Calibri. Well, you get quite a few options there. Go ahead and choose one, click on it. There you go. And then the effects, as we just went over. Now, one last thing is that If you don't want to use themes at all, and every time you open up the workbook it starts off with a type of font that you don't like, let me click on the Home tab, the body font, which is Calibri, and you're like, I don't want to do that. I'd just rather have, in my case, always use Arial, size 10, and just not use themes. Then come up here and click on the File tab, go down to Options, and the General category selected by default, or General tab. You can see down below it says use this as the default font. The default is going to be up here up at the top, body font, and that's where it comes into Calibri as being your body font for the entire workbook. If you step outside of that and you say, I don't want to use body font every time I create a new workbook, but like I did, Arial, and I change the font size, and I click OK, then the themes aren't going to work, at least not for the font, because it's, again, not labeled up here as something that we started off with, but we can always go back to it later. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.